All right, people. This is a Twitch-only stream. I haven't put it out on Twitter yet because we're at the end of a barricade situation. See in a second if this is worthy of putting on Twitter. He's out of the vehicle clearly. Was in a barricade. There were a whole bunch of. Hold on. I almost forgot the microphone. Okay, now you can hear me. This guy's just been walking around, and there were a whole bunch of police officers behind him. Then he decided to pull away. We've had a standoff situation on the 710-91 freeway for the last hour here. And I guess it turned into a mini chase. Now we have Ejectocito. Now he's running back towards the car. So he has a white Dodge Charger up the street.
Yeah.
All right, this one could be worthy of a.
That's right, Sharon, Rick. You know, we were anticipating the SWAT team rolling. They were rolling from Long Beach, coming up Atlantic Boulevard. They were coming in to take over from the units that were behind it. All of a sudden, we saw the units starting to back up. We thought that maybe the SWAT team was close by.
He's headed back towards the van, people. He's going to be there in a minute.
There were only 2 vehicles left behind the van at the time, and I think this driver was in communication
That's not it.
with the police.
His front left is busted on the van.
Jumped in the front seat and took off. There was a question whether or not to pull that spike strip that was ahead of the vehicle on the on-ramp. And the CHP was told to pull that spike strip.
There's the van. He's back at it.
You can see he's back at the van. He's looking at the tires. That front tire definitely gone, like you said.
Front left is toast. Where are the police, man? They were just there for an hour. There's not a police officer to be found.
Back in and trying to drive it off.
Just what is going on, man? Back in the van. We continue. It's always something different.
Absolutely. Well, let me take a look. I don't have a visual. Oh, I see it now. I'm looking out the window behind us. It is still jammed all the way beyond the 105 freeway, so it really did a number on the freeway. I imagine
he caused that traffic.
Getting closer to the 5 freeway even. But the off-ramp at Alondra that takes you westbound on Alondra from the 710 South was shut down for a really
So this
long
was
time
a chase
So they actually had the
for a couple seconds, and then it was a standoff, and then it was a chase, and then it was a foot pursuit, then it was an Ejectocito.
But it is still backed up from what I can see.
And now we're back into him just chilling in the van for some reason. Yeah, they laid out during the standoff in the barricade. They laid spike strips in front of the van, so that would probably explain why his front left is all sorts of busted. Yeah, there's nothing really to replay. He just went down the freeway down the exit ramp. Oh, there's a police officer right there. Just drove right by. What was that about?
You know, what we heard about maybe 20 minutes before this happened was that the Long Beach police were in communication with the supposed kidnapped suspect, or I'm sorry, victim, I should say, and that victim changed their mind. They said there was no kidnapping, and so that might be why they're releasing the van. Although the driver did speed away from officers, there was a pursuit. He stopped several times during that pursuit, failed to yield, and then finally ended up on that on-ramp at Alondra.
And then there was a barricade situation on the on-ramp, and here we are with no police anywhere. They're just driving right by him like his stars are gone. DJ Ryerson in the chat. W's in the chat for our old friend DJ Ryerson. Welcome back.
what exactly happened, but they
Our
were on the phone.
most generous
with this
community member,
suspect.
at it again.
I can tell you that. They did have his number. They have his name.
Everyone say hi.
And,
Not just
again,
W's.
On the side of the van, it says Planet Trees Services, Inc. So they were able to contact that driver, and maybe they just are willing to just let him go at this point.
It's where we're at right now. This one might be another getaway situation, but he's not getting away. He's just in the van.
Yeah.
Oh, do we have a Nightcrawler? What's going on? Oh, traffic. He's already gotten, for those of you just joining us, he's already gotten out once, walked all the way down the ramp, and walked back to the van. He came back, he looked at his tires, which are gone. The front left, at least, is gone.
Thank you.
He's been in like 2 different chases today. Yeah, front left is on rims at the moment. I am Greg or D. Once again, dropping some tier 1 subs into the chat for our community W's for our newest community gifter. Welcome back. Sorry this chase isn't more exciting for you, but it's one of those chases that you feel like could go off at any second. You never know. Don't give up on these things. They can just take off out of nowhere, man. Or we can sit here for 3 hours with no resolution. Somewhere in between.
Are there any cops there? Nothing?
One just drove by.
This is the first.
I am Gregor D says Middleton earned his contract in Game 3 tonight. Yes, he did. Some big shots there without Giannis. Series is not over. Tosho Live, 5 tier 1 subs. W's in the chat for Tosho Live. Thank you, Tosho. As we continue to hang out and watch a suspect, for those of you just joining us, one more time. This was a police chase that eventually became a standoff situation. There were spike strips involved. Then he just decided to drive away. And that's where we're at now. He drove all the way down the freeway to this ramp. And now he's just parked here. There's no police to be found. He has gotten out of the vehicle. He's walked all the way down the exit ramp and then walked all the way back to the car. Freeway. I think we're either 7. Uh-oh. What did I tell you? We got some assistance coming in. Oh! And now he's pulling up. I told you. Don't give up on this chase. Backup is here. Could be a Paul Walker challenge, but I don't know if it's a true Paul Walker challenge if the vehicle is involved. Knows the person.
We have about 40 minutes. I don't know if you saw that. A car pulled in there and backed up towards him, and the driver started driving towards that car, and the car took off, so it seemed a little agitated maybe.
Maybe he didn't like that person was coming over to help. There's movement inside. You can see the window kind of. Hayes in the chat says that second car probably wanted to steal the van's tires. That's not out of the question here in LA.
So I don't know. No police, no nothing here.
What tires?
Okay.
That was so weird, though. That person was backing up, and then he just took off. Oh, who's a good boy, Skip? We don't know if he's getting away. We're just kind of, he's in the car by himself with no cops around.
This up in Sky 5 along with my pilot David Viskovich. a very strange situation unfolding here on the freeway, 710 freeway at Alondra. This van was on the on-ramp to the southbound 710 and for quite a while. This pursuit, it was a pursuit that kicked this off. The Long Beach police tried to pull this van over for kidnapping. The driver was suspected of kidnapping. The driver took off on those officers. It was a stop-and-go pursuit for a while, and then ended up on that on-ramp at Alondra, where it simply just pulled over.
Hey.
And for well over an hour, the
Us longtime viewers have slowly watched more salt added to Wob's salt and pepper hair. I like sodium, okay?
Has backed it up all the way beyond the 105 freeway, probably more closer to the 5 freeway. The SWAT team was called out. It was deemed a barricaded suspect as the driver refused.
No, come back.
There was multiple units from Long Beach Police along with LA County Sheriffs and the CHP assisting the Long Beach Police. And then just about...
Yeah, this was a SWAT barrier. This was a 5-star chase here with SWAT team involved. And now we pick up the chase as he just drove away from it and just parked. And there's no cops anywhere. This is so weird.
And all of a sudden the driver jumped in the front seat, started the van up, and started to drive onto the freeway. The CHP had set up a spike strip ahead of the van, and we're told to pull the spike strip away. Now, when the vehicle started rolling again, we noticed that the front tire, driver's side tire, was flat and has since, for the most part, come apart as the driver drove down the 710, has transitioned onto the westbound
Sick
91
Pud. What's up, Sick Pud?
Long Beach Boulevard off-ramp to the off of the 91 freeway here, and has stopped. He got out for a while, started walking down that on-ramp, or the off-ramp, I should say, back in the van, and is now just stopped there. No sight of...
Gil, get your shit together.
Long Beach Police. It seems like they have let it 20 minutes before the drive off. We did hear that the Long Beach Police were in communication with the driver on a cell phone, and we heard that the victim was in Long Beach Police. That victim.
So we're all that's a cop.
Their mind.
Okay.
This being a kidnapping.
Now what?
And now we're seeing the California Highway Patrol units here coming into...
What is happening? They're just walking up to it.
Now, this is very strange since they were drawn, the canine unit and the
dog
team on the way. We know the driver's in there. We saw him get out and then walk back in. They have their guns drawn.
What is happening? They keep peeking. They keep open the door.
Wanting to talk to the driver. Okay, ready.
They're about to take it, I think, on TV. Where did he go? He's got to be in there. They're backing away. Is that Doge? Do I see Canine? No. They're backing away from the van. And what the fuck is happening?
Okay. Well, Rick and Sherry, you're looking at the California Highway Patrol has got behind that van once again here now. This time it's the CHP that has got behind it. The Long Beach Police were behind it. There was a pursuit that started about 4:15 with this van. It ended up in a standoff on the on-ramp from Alondra Boulevard to the southbound 710 freeway for well over an hour. The driver ending up driving away from that standoff because Long Beach Police simply just pulled away, backed their units off away from the van, and the driver jumped into the front seat and took off. the CHP had a spike strip set up ahead, but they pulled that away and allowed the driver to drive off. And look
What?
at this. The CHP
You're pulling away. They're running to the vehicles. And we're going back on the highway. I told you.
onto the 91 freeway here.
Back on the freeway.
Another pursuit. So very.
We are back engaged. Never give
The
up.
Long Beach Police Department back their units off.
We have a chase.
On the cell phone with the driver.
This is so boring. This is so boring. This is so boring. Your first time? Your first time here in LA?
Got onto the 91 there and then pulled over on the shoulder of that off-ramp at Long Beach Boulevard.
We are going 91 off the 710 now. CHP back engaged to a 3-star chase.
Units try to get out, knock on the side of the van to get the driver to.
We need Gil to get his signal straight.
The driver just simply,
They are far away from Van Nuys. We're down in Long Beach right now, and we are rolling on the. Gil!
Okay.
Still going.
No, we're just now westbound 91, slow rate of speed because he's got only one good tire there in the front. We don't know about the passenger side. The other side might be just as bad, but we did see.
Oh, look at that front left. Look at the front left. All sort. Oh.
The 91 freeway. The 710 was. He had the traffic backed up all the way beyond.
The front left is like shredded and stuck in there, and now he's backing up the entire 91.
Very badly here.
Oh my God, DJ drops a bomb in the chat. 25 tier 1 subs. To all you guys complain enough that you got DJ Ryerson to give out 25 more subs. W's in the chat. All showed. DJ, you're ridiculous, man. Chat appreciates you. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. Still going. High speed pursuit. We need Gil Levis to get his signal straight because it is choppy all the way down here in Long Beach. Right? DJ, I'm going to have to like invoice you or something with the amount. Practically paying my rent. And that, my friends, is a traffic jam. Now, look at that. Dead standstill because of this chase, which is now 4 wide. Lanes 1 through 5 on the 91. I believe it's the 91. We came off the 710. We're down in Long Beach. This does have a OJ feel to it because of the white van plus the way the CHP is structured with their formation. What we need is another chopper. Maybe we'll get Eliana.
Your picture?
He can also switch frequencies. Hopefully that's what he just did.
Okay, yeah. So the driver,
I think he just did it.
The driver was free and clear for a good 10 minutes when he stopped and got out of the vehicle, walked around, got back in the vehicle. He could have driven away because no law enforcement was behind him. They weren't trying to pull him over. They basically cut him loose. And now the CHP, for some reason, got behind him to check on him. Maybe to do, check on his safety. But look at this.
Now what? I'm going to go for a pit maneuver. What the?
Unbelievable. Yeah, they're going to do it.
They're going to try to box him in. Oh, there's a pit. But it's not fast enough. And that's a big Dodge Charger. It's a big boy. They're going to try and pit him again. He doesn't know the faster he goes, the more effective that pit maneuver is going to be. Smoke at the front right. They drive right through him.
There you go. Well,
now what? They can box him in.
On the passenger side as well.
He's trying to drive away.
Now he's blocked in.
No.
And guns drawn will come out wider. That's exactly right.
He can definitely back up.
Did that when the CHP approached. They tried to knock the.
They don't have the cage hooked. They should take that cruiser and put it in the back. Park it right behind him. It will not move. He's got plenty of room to go in reverse. And I don't think they were going fast enough to stall the engine. Because that's the whole point. It's called pursuit intervention technique for a reason. And it's recommended between 30 and 50 miles an hour. so that when you spin them, the engine will stall out. It just doesn't work. But if it's not going fast enough, I mean, also looks like his bumper or fender is crunched in now. He could eject Ocido and we go into Blair Witch Project chase. And if he's in there for another 5-10 minutes, they said there is a Doge inbound. And they will send the Dilophosaurus in there after they blow out the windows. This entire freeway is blocked off. This is a weird one. These officers do not want to approach either. They could have opened the door. I mean, there's protocol also, but if those windows are tinted out, they don't know if he has a weapon.
Was armed or not, but they did shut down the freeway for that reason. And then about 20 minutes before he drove off, they started opening the southbound side of the freeway. That was around the time they were mentioning the victim in this was changing the story, saying that the driver did not kidnap me. But so we're a little confused as far as why that circumstance changed.
The original want was a kidnapping.
It's actually gotten worse because now
look at the perimeter that they're setting up on that bottom unit.
The main line of the freeway.
Look at that. What is this formation?
Cause that backup to continue, and if the SWAT team has to come in here,
oh, I think they're shooting non-lethals.
Quite a while before this gets resolved.
Did I see smoke? They might be blowing out the back windows. The less than lethals, beanbags. That back left looks like maybe it's just the camera, but it looks like it's blown out, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they could try and smoke them out.
And so now they have less lethal weapons on them there at the CHP disc. And you're right. If he backs into those officers, it can be a problem. They do have the westbound.
That's why I don't like the strategy of not pinning him in, because he can not only back up, but he can use the vehicle as a weapon and hit the gas hard and ram them.
There's no movement at all on the 91 freeway westbound.
This really does nothing besides give them a little bit of a heads up if he hits the gas going backwards. Now, they would usually bring in a Bearcat to do the pinning. Doing a whole lot of moving and not a lot of doing. Okay, that's a less than lethal shotgun. They're going to blow out the window here. This is going to be beanbag rounds in that back window, I think. Yep, they're backing up. They're backing up. They're about to blow it out. Gil. What is happening? Huh? They're backing away? They tried to go up there. They ran away from the passenger side door. Still intact. Front right window still there. I mean, they're not backing away from that door for no reason. Could definitely be armed and they can't see inside. They don't know. There's a door right there. There's a door. There's a side door into the bucket seats. Oh, less than lethals. Smoke. Look, smoke coming from those less than lethals. Yeah, they're blowing out the front right window. There's a hole in there now.
Yeah, they just put that in there, Rick, and share a couple rounds.
Oh my God.
Did a pit maneuver.
Yeah, they're going to try and smoke first. And if that doesn't work, then you will see the Dilophosaurus.
A couple less lethal rounds in there. They'll likely put some pepper ball rounds in there to see if that will flush the driver out. And then if not, then they'll have to wait for the SWAT team if this driver doesn't come out on his own.
They can try Dilophosaurus first before Bearcat.
Copy that, we'll climb.
I mean, this vehicle is not disabled also. This vehicle could definitely back up. That pit maneuver, there is no way that engine is stalled. No way. Yeah, we don't know how far that drop-off is from the freeway down it. From this angle, it looks like that it's right there, but that could be 15 feet. Yeah, they blew out the window, but I haven't seen any smoke balls, just pepper balls yet. Wow. Oh my god, look at this traffic jam. He's rubbing one out. Fear boner. Somebody watch The League. What a great show. Raffi would be rubbing one out right now for sure. Chief of Staff. Hola, ¿qué pasa? Surprised they didn't blow out the back. Only that's a big hole now. Look at the size of that hole in the window in the passenger side. That hole's huge. If they blow out the entire thing, Doge. Problem is, Doge will get the glass. But I've seen him do it before. I don't see a Doge on scene. Is there a hole in the back windows? I can't tell. Need a Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote white flag poking out the hole. But it has to unravel and drop like a washcloth. That's a good question. We don't know how steep that drop-off is.
You're looking at that.
Imagine being in the front row of that. I'd be so pissed.
Quickly on that westbound 91 freeway from beyond the 710 now. Now, this vehicle was on the 710 southbound for quite a while, and that was messed up definitely by the activity with.
Well, that's even more.
Police. They simply let
They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total units now on scene.
Until he decided to pull over.
I see a riot shield behind unit 791.
Got out, walked around, got back.
They have riot shields.
Good Samaritan pulled back.
We've seen them. They go 4 deep. Here comes a riot shield. They're going to walk up there and they're going to they're going to take a baton and they're going to knock out the rest of the window. And then they're going to back away.
And then the CHP a few minutes later came up. 3 units, 3 officers approached, knocked on the side of the van to try to get the driver's attention. He refused to come out.
I don't know if they've already done smoke.
Mode, and that's when the driver started
usually with the riot shields, if they don't open the door, they're gonna knock out the rest of the window.
And it ended up in this position. Now we have, look how many CHP, as I come out here, have their guns drawn.
Dude, we're getting close to Bearcat. I'm going to do 4 stars just because of the response. 5 stars will be the Bearcat. The Bearcat will likely drive in and pin him in so he can't back up.
Going to have any traction because we're getting our first look at the passenger side of the vehicle, and it looks like those tires are shredded off almost.
Oh man, the back right and the front right, everything's gone now.
Rear tire.
He has no rubber left other than the back left, maybe.
They put in multiple rounds of less lethal there. You can see it as all double in here, and you can see the window on that passenger side has been broken out. It's unclear if they put any pepper ball rounds in there to try to get the driver to come out.
What happened to that blue car? Some weird shit has been going on in this chase. Just another day here in Los Angeles. Just another chase. They're all different. They're all unique. So the original one was kidnapping, and then the person that claimed kidnapping said, "I'm not kidnapped anymore." Still surprised we haven't seen a Doge. Where is Doge?
Absolutely, But that will be a difficult thing for the people that are in this backup. Let me come in and show you that one more time here. They are right over, it looks like this is Susanna Road. That's the bridge there, or the street that goes underneath the freeway, I should say. But let me come up here as they deal with that suspect. Right
Also,
now.
we're running out of gas.
It's just a mess here. That's
Gil's helicopter's running out of gas, people. Oh my God, look at this traffic jam!
Freeway. So really there's no relief there unless people take the southbound 710 freeway.
Wow, you better stay on the 710.
But at this point,
91. Oh my God, all those people. What happens if you gotta pee?
Likely going to stay that way until they resolve this.
So that's an insane backup. That's crazy. I mean, there's got to be at least one person in there that's got to take a shit. Right? You just holding it, doing it, just getting out of the car in front of everyone, taking a dump. I mean, the officers are doing this for a reason. They're concerned that this person has a weapon, and they can't see him in there. They don't know if he's just sitting in the back in the cabin with a shotgun, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're saying, well, just go in, it's really not that easy. Chief of Staff asks, how long does it take for the traffic to clear when it's over? I would imagine it's got to be a couple minutes. I don't think they're going to open every single lane because of all of these units. So probably 2 or 3 lanes, and then it slowly kind of funnels. You're right, that is a Dodge Charger. It's just a bigger one. It's the angle. If we had more of a ground level, you would see it's a Dodge Charger. Does anyone know if we have any other streams? Because we are going to lose Gil in about 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's a name of a business, Planet Tree Services Incorporated. And
Planet Tree?
In stenciled writing on the side of the van. You don't see it on this side, but it's on the driver's side.
ABC's up? Okay, that's good.
You know, it could be that when Long Beach police were in that standoff with this driver, it could be that because the circumstances changed with the victim, that they may have felt that they needed to de-escalate the situation because the driver was refusing to move at all. They were in communication with him, so they simply decided maybe they simply decided to just de-escalate it by letting the driver drive off, and that's what it seems like happened. And then for a good 10 minutes,
good question,
the
Yeti.
driver was on his own. No
Still wondering why the cops didn't arrest him when he decided to take a mid-pursuit walk. That he did, and there was a cop that drove right past him.
Asking Long Beach police if they wanted to keep the spike strip ahead of the van on that on-ramp, and they were told pull it away, and they did as the driver drove past them. So it could have been that the CHP could have jumped on this right away, or even the 2 units that were still behind the van on the on-ramp from Long Beach police, they could have went into pursuit with it, but they simply decided to let the guy go, and he was free and clear until this happened.
It was LAPD that went by? Yeah, CHP very rarely disengages from a chase, so that would make sense that LAPD just said, fuck it. See that bright orange on that rifle? That is a less than lethal. They're usually bright green, bright orange. I think they fire different stuff, but that is why that is. Cad Cooks does not know his cars. He's adamant that this is a Dodge Charger. I don't get it. Am I crazy, chat, or is that a Dodge Charger? That's a Dodge Charger. Thank you. See, even the bot knows it's a Dodge. Do you not know cars, bro? They make an XL version. This is from a couple years ago. I hate people that don't know cars. It just drives me nuts.
Yes.
Someone in the chat said they kidnapped Jokic. It's the only way.
Well, I haven't heard from the CHP as far as that, though. I can tell you that the Long Beach police were in communication with the driver, actually knew his first and last name. They mentioned it on the scanners and had the phone number for that person in the van. So they were in communication, and it seemed like at some point Long Beach decided to just let it go, and they did. And so it could be that they just wanted to de-escalate it. They knew the van was pretty disabled, and probably figured that the driver, they could catch up with the driver later, and just allowing the situation to be resolved by letting the driver drive away, and then allowing all those people on the 710 freeway southbound to get moving once again, because that was a nightmare for sure. But now we have a different nightmare here on the West 91 that's unfolding.
Westbound 91. So this is at like the very end of the freeway too, isn't it? This is like east of Palos Verdes. Oh, oh, yeah. Wait, did he put a pillow there?
Yes.
He put a pillow in the window.
Yeah, and you know, Sherry,
He put a giant pillow in the window.
The rear windows there with the doubler. Let me come back in and a little tighter, and I think you're right.
This guy's
the back windows there a little bit.
There's a hole in the back right.
Covering it.
I don't know about the back left.
Or something in the rear. So you can see with that shot.
He put a pillow there. Genius.
It looks like that one window on the left is blown out, as well as the one on the right a little bit as well. So it looks like they did do that. Yeah.
Now they're backing up. Man, this dude could easily go in reverse and just restart this chase. That Don Carl says, this is a private domicile. I am squatting. Leave me alone. You can squat here in California for like a decade. Pillows are scary. How many damn units? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. I am a sovereign citizen. You have no jurisdiction. Do you see this pillow? It's a room. Oh, 12 units. Oh my, look at all these people trying to get off. Oh my God. These poor people. That's everyone has to take a dump. That semi truck is now going into the. Oh my God, this is brutal. At what point do they just say, fuck this, we're going past this? Those people are going to come in here and arrest them themselves. Seriously, you can't stop that entire wave. The longer that goes, the more agitated. You're telling me of all of those cars, one of those people is not going to get agitated enough to blow through the blockade? Chases breed chases. Michael, that is an appropriate time for that, because if someone blows the blockade, it's going to have a separate chase as a result. Chases breed chases. All it takes is one. He's clearly not coming out. He put a pillow in the window. Another unit. We're up to 13. None of them have a Doge. It's resourceful. They're probably waiting for SWAT, yeah, at this point. They're probably waiting on the Bearcat. And that's why they backed up, so there's room for the Bearcat to pull in and pin them in. Bearcat takes forever. And when it finally gets there, it's going to slowly creep in. And then they have to get out of the Bearcat. They go to the back. They get all the equipment out. It's like a 30-minute process. LAPD has they have a lot of Bearcats. Just they're spread sparsely throughout different jurisdictions. Okay, this feels like a good opportunity to get ABC Stream up. Do you guys agree? Oh, there's motorcycles up there too. I don't know why you guys want to switch to ABC so bad. Gil's been fine. Imagine driving past it. Like, oh my God, these suckers. Oh, there's an officer coming. Could that be the K9 unit? Let me just tidy up a bit. Wasn't expecting visitors.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And, if the SWAT team's going to come out here to deal with this guy, they're going to have to come eastbound on the westbound lanes to get to it, because there's no way they're going to get through the regular. So Artesia Boulevard to the north here is moving. That's where all the vehicles were going to be exiting to. That's the way to get around it from the westbound 91. But for those people that are trapped between the 710 and the scene here, their only option is to get off here at Long Beach Boulevard, and that's a big mess right there. You can see all the vehicles.
Oh my God!
And it's going to be a long wait. That CHP officer also getting off there, and I feel bad for these people that are getting on the freeway not knowing this is happening. Now they're stuck as well.
Dude, why are you on that on-ramp? Get out of there. Dude, this guy is a chaos bringer. What? Something's leaking. You see fluid? Ah, that is from the damage when he drove into the barrier. So he's losing fluid. Yeah, it's probably coolant. Smasher 2109, Bobby, 8 months and counting. Appreciate you.
Yeah, it could be that decide to open the fast lanes here, the carpool and the number one lane at least. They could move those units up a little bit if they feel it's safe to, but they'll likely not do that because they're concerned if this person has a weapon or not inside that van. So they'll likely not do that. They have the eastbound lanes open right here, which are not too far from vehicles, so it's possible that they could open the fast lanes there to allow some of the traffic to go. But the problem is this could have happened in the worst spot because of that interchange, and those drivers really have that one exit to contend with. And beyond that, the ones that are stuck between Long Beach Boulevard and the scene, they're going to be stuck there for a while until they resolve this situation. Let me come back here to the interchange, and you can see it looks like they might be stopping traffic. Yes, I see the CHP. We're shooting directly behind us, but you can see, yeah, the CHP has shut down the westbound portion of the 91 freeway there at the 710. So they're diverting traffic onto the north or possibly, both north and southbound lanes of the 710. So that's good news. So at least there's some relief there that's happening, and hopefully the people that are stuck in between will be able to be turned around at some point and exited off the freeway.
Okay, I'm able to get maybe Desmond's on top of it. Let's see. Get a backup stream ready here.
They also want all these officers are going to be, you can see pretty much all of them making sure that they have cover at all times. If they're going to run from this vehicle over here, they want to do it pretty quickly and make sure that they are not putting themselves in danger while they're dealing with this person. We saw them coming back here into the back of the trunk with whatever, kind of equipment they have. But I'm honestly not positive that CHP is equipped with any type of of gas, other than the pepper balls, which they've already tried, and they have definitely shot out a lot of gas. I mean, to feel like 99.9% of people, that would be enough to just be like, all right, I give up.
Yeah.
But some of these suspects, I tell you, Pat, they are
Resilient.
awfully obstinate, and they will just drag this out as long as humanly possible.
And we've even seen instances, Desmond, where the person could be so desperate, or
Yeah, no, Eliana.
going on in that van.
It's
They
Friday.
possibly thought that he could have been armed.
I think she's
but,
off weekends now.
We don't know where that he could have been threatening himself.
She's going to be close to Stu Mundell territory. Get in the
Different kinds
bag.
of scenarios, especially in
That's what happens when you get the bag.
something
You're
like this,
washed.
Where again, you've got domestic situations involved. That could possibly.
Huh?
What is
It's
that?
moving. Pillow's moving.
Officers backed away from
He's
that.
moving it around. Look at the pillow.
Not knowing,
Yep.
what that person is thinking about. And
Or is it just weeping in the wind?
And if they did exit with something, a weapon, that would not be, we certainly don't want to see that. So we're hoping that this person just gives up on his own.
Yeah, that is wind.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's windy out there.
Almost certainly a emotionally charged situation because of the nature of the back and forth that we've heard between kidnapping allegations
Just-
and
just
potential
getting
victim
comfy
and
for a nap.
maybe walking back that story. So this person, and who knows? I mean, you are right. I mean, they could have been threatened. They could have just been threatening themselves in there as well. So. Totally unclear. Just so many unknowns with this situation. But regardless of the emotions and everything involved, you would just hope that hey, if you are innocent or what, you would think you would just want to come out. And the longer that they stay in this van, regardless of the circumstances of what happened, that I certainly hope we'll learn at some point. It seems pretty obvious to most of us that the best thing you can do is just come out with your hands up, and we will sort all that out.
Right.
Because
Ooh.
the longer you stay in here, and then you make one wrong move, and
Sorry.
it can.
Derek
it can be
Jones
very
Jr.
bad-
almost dunked
very
on
badly
somebody.
for you.
Well, let me ask you a question, Des. Do we see them making any kind of motions right now to turn around traffic on the freeway? Those poor folks that are backed up.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that
Stand
here while
still
we
there.
have the opportunity. It doesn't really seem to be much happening.
Nope.
No, at this point, we just have the one unit that is holding everybody.
That
back.
one unit
And,
is
I'm not
holding
gonna point
up
out all the way, but I can just tell you that
tens
traffic
of
is
thousands of
more-
people
a
right
little bit
now.
more than a mile.
At some point,
But the
they are
worst thing
going
you
to
can do right
rebel.
now, if you are getting ready to head out on the northbound 710 and you were trying
That
to
one unit's
head to the
like,
coast
stop,
of
stop.
91, do not do it because you will get trapped on that ramp. You've got both the
East.
ramps for the
That is Hodor.
710 that are backing up onto the westbound 91. It's turning into a big chain reaction kind of thing here. I mean, even though we're now just at about 7 o'clock.
You need the
it is
trumpet.
Friday. Folks are getting home from work, but now they're trying to go out
Charge!
for the evening. And this is just a major crimp in the greater LA freeway system with all lanes on the westbound 91 being blocked. And it's going to take CHP some time. If they're going to get people out here to do reverse traffic to get those trapped folks off the freeway, they're going to need a few more units to come. They might even need Caltrans to get out here to set up some cones. It could be a pretty tough operation to get set up. So, and we haven't seen any indication of that happening yet. I mean, right now, obviously, this is their primary concern.
Hey, Desmond.
And then, sadly, the folks are secondary there on that westbound 91.
Desmond, can you go back in? Did that blanket move? There's something.
I think it's
Is the
getting
window
caught by
down?
the wind. Yeah.
So the window is down.
Well, it got shot out earlier by the.
Whoa, look at that.
But I mean, you
Look
can
at
see
that
just
little
how
zoom
crazy it
in.
is. You see the trees
Good
there.
job, Desmond.
We're actually getting knocked around a little bit up here in Sky Cow, but you can see. I think it's just the wind that is picking up the blanket, but. you know, and that is just kind of more movement.
Pillow
That's,
cam.
That's distracting to CHP officers. And that's just going to be, you know, one more irksome detail for officers out here dealing with
Skywalker,
because it's
8
hanging
months
out
and
the
counting.
window more
Appreciate
than
you.
it
Welcome
was.
in. Welcome
fact, I
back.
wasn't sure that the window was completely blown out.
Yeah, this is the
because it
future.
seemed to
Pillow
be,
cam zoomed in. That was.
positioned
I didn't know
right up against
they could
the
do that from the
window, and now you
helicopter.
can clearly
Picture in
see
picture.
That blanket is billowing and it's hanging out over the side there. So, I mean, that's more than what we've seen.
Yeah,
That was
well,
really-
I mean, it might just blow out of the window completely.
It
Yeah,
just-
well, let's see.
What? He's definitely moving. What's he
think it's
doing?
Just the wind. I
Oh.
don't know if it's the sun. Well,
he's
you know, I
pulling
don't
on
know,
it,
but-
Desmond.
What's he doing?
Yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's trying to keep it
crafty.
from blowing away.
Yeah, because he was pulling it back into the van, it looked like.
Oh, there
Now,
you go.
what's
There you
that?
go.
Huh? His hand! It's a hand! He's alive!
Right there. Let's hope he's reaching for the door and he's going to come out right now. Here we can see he was reaching.
Oh! He just hit the glass!
For the handle.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not able to open it. Okay, so this is the best look we've seen in some time. Let's see what he's doing here.
Why is he opening?
You know what I think? Well.
Oh,
let's give it a
he's
second.
smart.
He may
He's
be
gonna
going
shut
to
the door on the pillow
that
so it
he
doesn't
can
move.
Put the blanket in the door.
He's gonna put the blanket in the door so it can't fall out.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's trying to do. So
No way!
and now he's got the blanket in the window to prevent it from blowing away.
But he's got glass everywhere now in that seat.
So just no interest in coming out. We know that.
Well, that was a very a definite.
Now his pillow game. Now
Since we've been sitting out here, Desmond,
his shield is
6
locked
hours to
in.
Pick this up, you know, in full time. So at least we know that person is still alive in that van, right? Because we didn't.
It's a van fort.
Could have gone either way.
Oh, here's the replay from
Not only
before.
that, but they are hunkering down for the night. Not only with that.
Where he got out. I think he has a cigarette in.
Point where
Goes for a little jog.
to their advantage, so it doesn't.
Is he in sandals?
Anytime soon.
Look at the glasses.
Desmond, I am going to leave you now, but Chauncey Glover is going to take over our coverage.
Thank
So I'll
God.
be talking to you
Get
later.
Chauncey
We
in
may
here.
be doing this live at 9 o'clock.
Get out of
We'll
here,
see you
Carol.
Yeah, we just might be, Pat.
Chauncey Glover here, back on this standoff with the kidnapping suspect. And
Let's go,
the video
Chauncey.
Right here, that we're showing where this guy. This all started here on the 710, and then it got here to the westbound 91. But this video right here, this guy actually got out of the van and started walking. He's walking here on the shoulder, even at one point smoking a cigarette, Desmond, and then was able to walk back to the van.
It was a
and then
cigarette.
get in the van and drive to another location, which is where we are now, on the 91 westbound right here. And then police were able to
Then
do
he
that
just
hit maneuver.
hits reverse and he starts
I'm trying to see
jogging
that
back to the van.
Gap in time right there. Was that the switch over between Long Beach Police and CHP? Because this was a lot of time, and now we're stuck right here after this pit maneuver.
The answer is because
just waiting on
LAPD
the
were in a
suspect to give
barricade
up
situation
when
with
they
him
had
before,
at least 5 minutes
and
right
then
here
they
as
changed
this guy
jurisdictions,
walked,
so he was
back
able
and
to just
forth
do this
and
little joy
contemplating his
walk
next move, and then eventually
until
getting back
CHP
into
came
this
in.
van and getting back on the road.
And that was this time right here.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Chauncey. It was at least 5 minutes time. And if it was just, slow communication between Long Beach PD and CHP, or CHP didn't have anyone available at the time to take all this over, I mean, we know that it sounded like there were probably some questions about, well, what do we even want to do with this guy? Because there's just been a lot of mixed communication about the original allegations of kidnapping and the victim and the victim calling with CHP. Just a very confusing situation. And this guy was just out here walking around. They didn't even
Had to stretch his legs before this long standoff that he knew he was going to initiate.
At the bottom of the off ramp and sat down and got a cup of coffee or something if they wanted, and really just seemed like authorities were going to let this go. And then all of a sudden, CHP comes barreling up. They didn't hesitate at all. Pit maneuvered the vehicle. The vehicle was pretty much already on its last leg with a couple of bad tires. Now 3 out of the 4 tires are done for, and they really didn't waste any time with the pepper balls into the back glass, into the side glass there. But the suspect just had no interest in communicating, regardless of all of that. And so now we have, the second standoff. First it was along the southbound 710 at Alondra. Now we're on the westbound 91 before Santa Fe. And we've got, all lanes blocked here for at least the last 20 or so minutes. A lot of people.
27 Gaming is asking, any chance the car still works? And the answer is yes.
First glimpse of the suspect
That pit maneuver did not disable this vehicle. I think it could drive away if it really wanted to, despite there being no rubber on 3 out of the 4 tires.
Conditions that we have out here. We have just seen CHP's helicopter there go through our shot. They are now here. So this is completely a CHP handle, but I suspect it's going to be handed off to LA County Sheriff's deputies and their Special Enforcement Bureau, their equivalent of the SWAT team. I'm sure the calls are being made, and if CHP doesn't want to do anything further with this, they will probably hand it off to the guys with
I'm chilling.
Of the tools,
nothing to do
with
but
the
watch
air
it chase.
gas, with the hot gas, with the robots, with all of that. Those always turn into hours-long situations, Chauncey.
And Desmond, this is Susie joining us now. Susie's joining Chauncey Glover and Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal. Desmond, might be a good time to remind our viewers about what had happened or transpired before this. What is the kidnapping part of this story?
It's unfortunately we just don't know a lot about that. That was the first thing that we had heard from law enforcement, that they believed that this was a kidnapping suspect, and then they had the standoff situation there. And as we got, it sounds like it was a pursuit, but it may have been a pretty short one. But for one reason or another, we didn't hear about spike strips initially, but they had a bad front tire. The driver's side front tire was out. This was off the 710 at Alondra, and that was Long Beach PD that was handling that. So it seemed like it was going to be a standoff there, and then all of a sudden, the suspect started going, and they let him go. We had heard something about this. It's a weird situation. It sounds like it's probably something domestic related. We've had instances in the past where someone is accused of kidnapping, and then that ends up not necessarily being the case. If just domestic flares, tempering between parties. We really just don't have a lot of information on everything that happened with all of that. And that was why we thought that they were letting the suspect go. But then maybe stories changed again, because CHP came up and they handled this like a very serious situation.
Right.
They pitted the person, they shot out with the pepper balls. They also made an approach to the vehicle pretty quickly, and we saw them jump back immediately. We couldn't see what they saw that alerted them, but they jumped back. All we know is they definitely didn't like what they saw. That could have been the suspect saying or motioning something threateningly. They could have had a weapon. They could have just been fiddling around, reaching around into the glove compartment. Whatever it was that CHP saw, they decided to take a very defensive tack on this. And
look at all that glass.
Any effort to approach this vehicle. And,
all that glass on the ground outside the passenger side front door.
There was at least half a dozen pepper balls that were fired, but they haven't done anything like that now in a while. They're really just standing back here in a defensive posture, westbound 91 at Santa Fe.
And Desmond, when they
waiting on the Bearcat,
they retreated pretty fast there, which makes you think the reason why, or what this suspect might have done to make them retreat so fast. While we try to cue up that video of that moment happening, I want to go back to you talking about the possible kidnapping angle to this. At one point you said the possible victim might have recanted the story, but then minutes later CHP rolls up, and they were very aggressive in the beginning, which makes you think, did the story change back, or what happened there? Because like we talked about, those 5 minutes when the suspect was just by himself here walking along the freeway.
Yeah, absolutely. That was what we had heard from law enforcement when we were asking, hey, are you guys going to come over here? What's going on? And it sounded like it was something along the lines of, we don't have anything on this guy now, because they must have heard from the quote unquote victim, and things change with whatever kind of statement that was made. So it's just a very touchy situation. Obviously we wish we had a lot more details on that. So then, it makes you wonder what's actually going on with this person. I mean, you know, a lot of suspects believe that they're guilty regardless of what's going on, and one person says something.
James Harden
another
has the
person
worst
says something
shoes
else.
of
Two
all time.
sides
Those
to every
shoes
story, as
are
they say. So
hideous.
it's just it's I don't know. It's a very touchy situation. That's really all we know at this point.
Well, Desmond, I mean, you know, in terms of standoffs, you know, we've covered tons of them after pursuits, and we've seen the CHP. As you mentioned before, they are the agency that
Y'all
is
see that?
usually more
I know I'm not the only
aggressive
one.
in
Those are
getting
got to be the
suspects
worst
out
shoes
that
of
car.
any
They're
player in
usually
the
waiting
league.
for that shield, and then they'll stack behind each other.
He's always had one of the
and they'll
worst
approach the
shoes.
car
I mean,
with
which
their
is
guns
fucking
drawn.
appropriate,
But seeing them like this, Desmond, as you mentioned, this has to be something more serious in terms of putting them in danger possibly because of their stance right now.
Yeah, and we saw that, Desmond, what we were talking about when they first got here on the scene. If we can show that video once again, when CHP rolled back up here, there was a pit maneuver which put the van in the position that it is now, and then they got in formation and they approached the van. If we can show that video when they approached this van, and then
we are at 1 minute and 6 seconds on the dot. Or, I'm sorry, 1 hour, 6 minutes on the dot.
Just suddenly pull back. Here's that moment there. This is after they performed that pit maneuver, putting the van in the position that it's in now. It stopped right here. Then a few minutes go by, and then they go in to try to get this guy out of the van and try.
This one does feel like it's been going on longer,
arrest him.
right?
And whatever happened inside
13
of that
months,
van
dudes.
made the CHP
That's enough for
officers
marriage and kids.
completely just suddenly retreat from the van.
Appreciate you.
Whatever they saw.
Welcome back.
Or whatever they saw in the van. We know that he was, this was before the blanket went up. So they had a good, a good view inside of that van. I don't know if we have that video to where they suddenly retreated. We ran it earlier. We can re-cue that back up. So we can show that again. But Desmond, but you have to think, they may have saw something there in the van, or oftentimes in these situations, the suspect might be fidgety or moving around, which made those officers, possibly think he had a weapon, or gave them a good
The
reason
sun
to sort of
is
get out,
got about
get away
30
from that
minutes
van as soon as
left.
possible.
Boy, is it pretty out tonight.
Absolutely, and it could have been any number.
This is one of the
things
nicest days
that
of
they
the year.
saw or that the suspect said. I mean, we've had situations with suspects saying they have explosives or they have weapons or whatever, and then even if they don't, or if maybe he was waving a knife. I mean, it's just really all conjecture at this point, or if something was said. But whatever it was, I mean, those officers, took cover. Like they thought that whatever it was with the suspect was very threatening. So we're just able to get a little bit more info out of CHP's helicopter overhead, diligently keeping watch on this. And, we were just asking them, why do you want this guy now? Is it for failure to yield? Regardless of the whole kidnapping thing, the bottom line is the person still refused to yield to police when they wanted him to yield. Or is it the kidnapping allegation? And they told us both. So we, still don't know all of the circumstances with the earlier kidnapping. I mean, it's kind of been on again, off again. Now it sounds like that may be back on again. Failure to yield for sure, but, it's not often that you see police spin someone around so quickly and then shoot pepper balls for just a failure to yield. Mm-hmm. So whatever is going on with this suspect, they still have reason to believe, regardless of earlier with Long Beach PD not pursuing this person when they took back off and had a chance to arrest him when they were out of the vehicle. The CHP still seems to believe one way or another that something very serious is going on here. That's for sure.
As you can see, the CHP still in their defensive mode with their guns drawn and trained at this van right now. Meanwhile, as you can imagine,
Question in the chat.
On a Friday evening,
What's the
like
longest
this,
chase
Desmond,
that I have
please
covered?
Show us once again the traffic backup that's not
4.5
only happening
hours.
on the 91 freeway right now,
Crane
but
guy.
also the 710 freeway. It is a huge backup with I mean, we'll show you in just a second here, but we
It is
have
a
been showing you,
perfect day
just
for
the
a
bandit that we've
chase,
seen.
Schmitty.
You know, typically on a Friday
Nice
afternoon,
night to sit on the
obviously, that
interstate
is
for
the usual
hours.
norm, but
Skywalker,
add
it's
this
funny.
to the mix with a complete shutdown of the
It could be
freeway as we're
worse.
seeing near
It
the
is nice
91
weather out.
near the 710 in Compton right now. I mean, you're talking about an hours-long mess because if Desmond is talking about
Big
the
Moody says I canceled my
possibility
plans for this.
of the
I
LA
live
County
for this
Sheriff's
shit.
Department getting involved with their
Isn't it crazy?
SEB,
How many
their
people
Special
I meet
Enforcement
randomly
Bureau, which is their SWAT
and
team.
only
You
want
know,
to talk
they will
about
have
police
to come in
chases.
with their equipment, their trucks, the CHP.
That's
will
all they
go
know me
back and
for.
Let them handle it, but
Which is completely
that's gonna
fine.
take some time.
But that audience is
Yes.
got to be
That is gonna
almost
take
as
some
big
time.
as my
And,
NBA audience.
My pilot's actually talking to them right now, up to the helicopter overhead, and we're asking them right now if, okay, interesting.
What?
They're okay. They're telling us that they are not going to call in the Special Enforcement Bureau. In fact,
No
sounded a little
Bearcat.
different to us asking
Okay.
that question, but
Taking a star back then.
They have canines coming.
Ah!
They also have crisis negotiators coming. So that's
Doge?
what they're taking right now.
Multiple
They still have to
Doge?
handle this.
How many units?
CHP, once they get involved with things,
Crisis negotiators?
they typically
Yeah,
like
you
to
better
handle
believe
two
those fur
areas.
missiles
So
are crisis
they're going to,
negotiators.
handle
They're
this
really good
well.
at solving
We'll
crisis.
see, when they get
Instantly.
canines out here, I mean, sometimes you get those dogs worked up, and just the barking and the snarling can be enough to get a suspect to surrender.
Oh, they send it into the cabin.
Shake them back to reality.
The Dilophosaurus.
Potentially getting a serious injury if you continue to do this.
Remember that dinosaur
And,
from
they
Jurassic
could
Park that
also
has the big
probably see the tack with some
mane?
crisis negotiators.
Shoots-
or perhaps
spits
they
the
could get a hold of
tar.
This person regarding the whole allegation.
Parachute
It
the
sounds
dogs
like
in
there's, been
paracanines.
communication between the suspect and the alleged victim. Some phone numbers could probably be obtained to get.
Well,
in
it
touch
took them
with
so
the
long to
person.
get the
They have
dog because
cell phone on them.
they canceled the
Hopefully some lines of
SWAT.
communication can be
They were probably waiting on
opened
SWAT.
up
We don't
to,
need dogs.
try to clarify some things and see if
But
they can
now
just
that
get
the
this
SWAT
guy
is
to come out
canceled,
and tell
they
his side of the story
called
and,
for the Doge.
reopen the westbound 91 for everybody, just trying to enjoy Friday night in Southern California.
And
Yeah,
Desmond
everyone just
certainly, with
enjoy
the
your
suspect
night.
Here.
Hopefully everyone in
We
traffic is
know
watching the
from
chase.
Both ends of the spectrum, but he
I mean, what
seemed
else
so
are you gonna do?
unbothered when he was walking there along the highway and even smoking a cigarette at one point to now putting a blanket up. Or
That dog's got to get warmed up first. He's hitting the bag, getting a good sweat in. He's doing the squirrel punches to the bag before he runs out of the tunnel.
Approaching the van, they got very close, and you see right there, suddenly retreating back to their positions. That was a turning moment, and we've just been here.
Freedom says, I want him to throw that blanket over the dog.
Something, that they saw made them think,
Maybe
this is
that's the
dangerous
way
for
to
us.
cure,
We
to
wanna
stop
hold
fur
back.
missiles.
So whether that
Blind
was a
them.
weapon that was perhaps
Put them in a
usable to
blanket.
them, or
But if
perhaps
not,
the
then they
suspect
poke their head
was
out,
holding the weapon at
continuing with the
them,
Jurassic
or
Park analogy, like the
they saw something
Velociraptor
else in the car.
that
Who
lifts the
knows?
curtain up.
An explosive, we don't know at this point. But as we were talking about, pretty much, for about an hour now or so.
Can you imagine
we don't know
peekaboo with that thing?
the very
Oh, I'd
much
shit
that are
myself.
inside this van right now. Desmond, do we know if anyone else is
They
possibly
play the
in this
Edwin
van?
Diaz music when the dog gets there.
We'll see if we can get that information, but I don't believe there's any thought about
Turn
anyone
off the
else
lights.
being,
Call the
in
bullpen for the
We
Doge.
had been told pretty early on that they did not believe that the supposed victim was inside, that the supposed victim was not inside of this van. So I think they're confident that they're the only person inside. We are now hearing that what may have startled them there is that they said that the suspect was just acting erratically when they approached the vehicle, and things can just happen on a moment's notice, and see, obviously they don't want to put themselves in harm's way when they have no idea who they're dealing with.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the Edwin Diaz entrance is evolving.
Get them to tell them that that they don't have anything dangerous in the vehicle.
That's a good question. Why doesn't the cop open the back side door?
point.
That's a blind
We've
spot.
just seen so
Not
many
bad.
of these situations.
Doesn't
where
look
they
like
just
he has
turn
his
these
rear view
standoffs
mirror,
that
and he
go on
probably
for
can't see it through the blanket
many
anyway.
hours. I mean, regardless,
He's got to
of the
have
details
that
of the
entire
story,
van has got
this
cigarettes
person
in
has
it.
to know that they're going to be detained one way or another, and a lot of these suspects, they just want to drag this out for as long as they can. I mean, you just can't.
Oh,
see how
get
long
packed,
they're
Paul
in
George.
there. They're dealing with hunger, thirst, potentially having to go to the bathroom.
Get fucking
And
wrecked.
people just sit in these cars. It's crazy how long they want to drag this out, and it is just so
Good block.
unfortunate how many lives get affected by events like this. When you just imagine the frustration if you had plans tonight, if you had dinner reservations.
His hand is out the
or
window, isn't it?
whatever, if it's your anniversary or your kid you haven't seen in so long, and the freeway is completely closed, and there's really not much. Okay, they finally got the reverse operation going here, so that's good news for all of those folks here. So we've got officers that are going to be
It still hasn't solved a whole lot.
The map tracker, that's going to be Long Beach Boulevard, where off of the 91. So at least all those people are getting forced off, but now everyone else here, they're all going to have to do the same thing. So you're sitting in all this traffic only to be turned around and then to have to go to that off ramp. So that is the situation. That's at least an improvement for everyone who's been trapped that can get off of the freeway and try to get an alternate route going to get around this. But now you see some more officers that have arrived at the scene.
We want Doge. We want Doge.
What their approach is going to be. This maybe a crisis negotiator down there.
Well, that one officer is
Canines coming to the scene
strapped
as well
with
to be at the
armor.
ready. The canines are probably just going to be standing by if the suspect wants to try to get out and run. If they try to hop over the wall
you
here in the
imagine?
brush, that's probably when they would release the canine. I don't
You get a
anticipate
chase
that they
down.
would just allow
Nothing
the
more
dog to,
electric than a
jump through the window
canine
and go
chase
in and
down.
get that suspect. But it just
That one
it just
time
all
on the
depends
highway
on,
where he came off the
how
television
suspect
screen, it
acts
was
and how long they
LeBron
want
in
this to
2016.
And Desmond, we can't get into the mind of this guy, but you also have to point out the strategic moves that he has made, even putting this blanket or sheet over the window there. And then also, at one point, did he open the door? We thought he was, he reached for the handle. We thought he was going to come out and surrender.
It's
But
going
that
to
was
get dark
just
here
him
soon. The
putting
sun,
blanket,
looking at the sun right
in a
now,
different
it's
place. So we
got
think
about
about that, and then we think about
12 minutes
if
of
he
sunlight
did want
left.
to get away, if he did want to run away, he had the opportunity there when police were.
You know what?
as he was walking
That's why there's a
down the freeway,
chase. One dude.
there was a
I
time
just
and
had
also a
spaghetti with
place
meat
right there,
sauce.
for him to
Another
to
chase.
run.
I'm not shitting you. He's in the window
Yeah,
peeking.
I mean,
So
I was
sneaky.
honestly kind of worried.
That is
because
the
we've
chase
seen it so
meal.
many times. I was at the time saying
I have
really
it twice a
have to
week
go for it
usually.
because,
Right.
You can't
But every
look
time I
past
eat it, there's a
someone
freaking
just
chase.
trying to carjack someone else. We've seen it way too many times in the past, but that was not what this suspect tried to do.
They
It
should
was
light him up with a
really,
beanbag right now.
kind of confounding what the strategy was there, out there on foot, but he must have thought it was safe because, there were no authorities there. Yeah,
Dude,
we
so
certainly
good.
hoped, that was certainly my
So
hope
tasty.
at the time, is that he was opening the door to surrender, but then I realized pretty quickly that he was just trying to
He's
jam
just
the blanket
emptying out
into
the
door jam to
ashtray.
prevent it from blowing away. You see how breezy it is. Now, he is sitting right there in the passenger seat. You can see his arm. We saw him motioning.
Send the
and
Doge.
So he is perhaps actively talking to the authorities right now, and now we got a light.
Oh,
that,
little
seems
mini
to be
night sun.
shining on him.
They're
But we
trying to
saw
blind him.
The hand motioning there, words being exchanged, and again, I mean, we just don't know all the details about what happened between this person and the other party.
Anyone got a
The
light?
Accusations of kidnapping and whatnot. So he's probably
He's asking
his
anybody
son's
got a
story
light,
right now.
and he's like, "Not that
And
light.
is really,
Get that night sun off me. I'm asking for a
personally
light."
come out and talk to them.
We'll
But,
give you a
just
light.
For one reason or another, they have zero interest in that.
Yeah, so as we continue to watch this standoff in Compton on the 91 freeway, it looks like people are getting forced off the Long Beach Boulevard exit now off the 91. So there's some good news there as traffic is being diverted and moved somewhat. But the CHP, their priorities are very clear. Obviously,
Look at the picture in picture with the zoom in.
officer
He's asking
safety,
for a
number
light.
one, the public safety as well, and also moving traffic and getting.
He's gonna make
moving
shadow
once again.
animals
So they
with
want
the
to wrap
lights
this
and
up,
the shadow.
as soon as possible. But they're certainly not going to put their officers in danger in doing so. So it looks like we're getting a little bit more hand motions out the window. It seems like perhaps, you can see almost like a like 2 fingers sticking up, and
He's doing the Jalen Brunson.
Desmond zooms in for us there, and we're thinking right now that the suspect is possibly.
Can I get a DoorDash guy through?
Negotiator or whoever is speaking with them on the scene there. But it looks like they have arrived now. And earlier we were thinking maybe the LA County Sheriff's Department might send in their Special Enforcement Bureau, but it looks like they have not decided to do that. They decided against that, and they're going to keep it with the CHP. And as Desmond was talking about earlier, the CHP likes to keep their investigations or their cases within their department, if possible, whenever possible, because of issues with communication lines and frequencies with other agencies, as well as the fact that they want to open up this freeway as soon as they can. So that's definitely their job as well. And so they decided to come in with crisis negotiators and a canine. Usually what they'll do is even, after a pursuit comes to an end and even before it
God
becomes
damn, the
standoff,
Clippers suck so
they'll
much
yell
ass.
out at the car.
Why did I ever trust you back
if
in
they
the
don't
day?
throw out their keys and obey their initial commands, which are throw out your keys.
They
and,
are the worst.
Put your hands where we can see them and open the door from the outside and walk out slowly. They'll usually yell, hey, even if they don't have a canine, they'll yell, hey, we have a canine, we're coming.
I don't think I can say that on Sirius XM radio.
Even think that might be a
I think I don't have to do a
threat
show
them.
tonight. Like, these guys
They have
suck
many
ass.
strategies that they will deploy in instances like this. But again, the CHP right now, their main priorities: officer safety, the public safety, and moving this freeway along as the.
If I was doing a show tonight, the Clippers, they certainly tried their best.
And Desmond, I want to go back to the very beginning.
Inefficiency
of this,
continues to plague them.
This van.
Turnovers.
This is some kind of tree company or lawn care company or something.
Yes, that's right. Actually, Chauncey, on the other side, on the driver's side,
Major
it did
nuts,
say,
1
I think
year.
Planet Tree Care
Happy
or
1
something
year.
like that. So, a tree trimmer, gardening business. Perhaps that's what that's this person's livelihood. There was a phone number actually on that side as well. So if that's this person's cell phone number, it should be pretty easy to get a hold of them. But authorities are now confirming with us that I guess you could say alleged victim. It sounds kind of weird to say in this kidnapping thing that they changed their story, and that is why Long Beach police decided to let them go. But it was still, regardless, a failure to yield situation. But CHP is definitely treating this person as though they are a dangerous individual with with the way that they have reacted to all of this with the pit maneuver and the pepper balls, because there's been plenty of other pursuits we've seen with CHP. I'll tell you, it's kind of a wild card with them. Sometimes we see them take a very, very docile stance with pursuits as they are coming over here. Let's see, maybe see what they're trying to do over here.
They're sneaking around. He's in the passenger side window.
Not sure if they were trying to look at the rearview mirror on the other side or just trying
Could have
to
just easily walked up to the driver's side door.
Gosh, there was a pursuit we covered last month with someone that was like a suspected DUI driver, and they had so many opportunities to do a pit maneuver on that suspect, and they could have ended it in 5 minutes, but it went on for more than an hour. And then all of a sudden, they pitted him, and they shot out a couple pepper balls, and then the suspect immediately gave up. And now, you juxtapose that to this situation where you have a person where they just came up, and almost as soon as they got behind him, even with shredded tires, they pitted him. That's another thing that's pretty rare. A lot of times when their tires aren't intact, they won't do a pit, but they decided to pit this person, spun him around into the wall, started with the pepper balls, shot out the windows, the rear windows, the side window. So you just never really know with CHP compared to some of the other agencies as to how they're going to behave on a pursuit. If it depends on the sergeant on duty who's making the calls or what. But it started off as a pretty aggressive tact at first, and now it has gone more defensive, and they're trying to talk with this person.
Damn.
You can see words definitely being exchanged
Too
at this
soon,
point.
Ben
And,
J.
we'll just see what they decide to do next, I guess.
But also not wrong.
Desmond, while you were just talking, we were showing the video from earlier when the van was stopped and the suspect got out and walked away. And I can't help but to recall just how unbothered he seemed. And when we did that replay, that suspect even at one point, after smoking that cigarette, it goes back to the van and even checks out some of the damage to the van before getting back in. And this is him right here, walking back, not trying to get away. He's not bothering the other drivers here on the highway, just walking back to the van, seemingly unbothered here. And then he gets back, and we have to also put in perspective.
I think NBC has that technological capacity.
While police
Hoff.
have him surrounded, and then he gets back in the van. You see right there.
NBC is the
even checking out
2007
the damage
Cavs.
done to the van. And
Eliana,
quite
LeBron,
the stark
every other
contrast,
aspect of NBC
to
is just
that scene right
booby
there.
miles.
As he's walking around and looking around, then you go back to the picture of where we are right now with this suspect not getting out, not obeying police, and seemingly, in it for the long haul with the blanket over the window. Two very different scenes, two very different moods right there.
Looked like he was checking out the car to see if he could drive on it
Right.
still. Is this car still going to move if I drive on this slashed up tire? But it looks like, we're still looking at the same scene right now. The CHP with their guns drawn in a standoff with a possible kidnapping suspect in Compton. Now, the kidnapping allegations, very unclear, maybe not. It could be something that the possible victim or alleged victim may have recanted, so we're still looking into that part of the story. But what we do know tonight is that the CHP really wanted to get this person, as Desmond alluded to earlier. As soon as they got on the freeway, pretty much, they were pitted, and this is the end of that. And they turned that car around, as they do. When they pit a car, they want to turn that rear quarter panel of that car and make it turn around, the entire car turn around, and disable that car, as they certainly did as it crashed into this wall on the freeway here. But traffic, again, still backed up. And, Desmond showed us earlier just how backed up the freeway is right now along the 91. They are diverting some traffic off the freeway along Long Beach Boulevard right now. But as you can imagine, this doesn't look like it's going to be resolved anytime soon. We did see the suspect's hand making some gestures, possibly speaking with the officers not too long ago, but it seems like they've sort of retreated back into the van, and we haven't seen any sort of motions or gestures out of that window since that point, which was about 15 minutes ago. But as crisis negotiators have just arrived here on scene on the 91 freeway in
Is that Doge? It's a Doge.
this comes to an end. The CHP, one of their
He's a good boy. He's laying down.
Traffic moving again, but they certainly want to, of course, take into consideration the safety of everyone involved.
Yeah, I did want to mention here as well, we can see that the K9 is right here.
Doge, big
And
Doge.
they are
Zoom in on the Doge.
if-
The tongue is out, Doge.
If the officers decide
He's a good
that's
boy.
the tack that they want to take, it's hard. I mean, you see the way that he's yanking on the back of the K9's vest, almost as if they're ready to release him. I'm not sure if that's the case, but you see the dog.
Would you
is
say?
barking.
Oh,
The dog
he's
is
barking.
perked up.
And he's peaked up.
They're doing that
Ah.
to let this suspect know.
They're revving him up.
See, they have. He's got something else hanging out the window now. What
is that?
Let's see if we can get.
Is that a mannequin?
Of that with the magnifier? He's shoving something. Okay, cardboard. It looks like. So, yeah, maybe trying to cover up the window again.
It's not going to save you from Doge.
About the dog. I mean,
coming
He sees the dog. He's like, fuck this.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. I mean,
He's like, dog can't get me if dog don't see me.
And submit to questioning.
He's not going to. That dog does not go to questionnaires. That dog is not asking any questions.
We have seen.
Oh, are they going to let him go?
What these dogs could do. So,
Dude, they're in a stance like he's about to be let off the leash.
This breed of dog is
Or are they just doing this as a scare tactic? He is all sorts of revved up. Look at that tail. He has got in the spring-loaded position.
Canines, but some time ago, most agencies switched to this particular breed of
Oh my
very
God.
strong dog. I believe they come from Eastern Europe, and they are
Fur missile is loaded.
more high-strung than German Shepherds, I would say, but most important.
Yeah, what's the name of these? These aren't Germans anymore. Somebody, dog expert
German
knows.
Shepherds are known to have later in life with hip dysplasia.
That tail wag, that is not a tail wag. When it's wiry like that, that means it's extremely anxious.
Insanely nimble dogs, and you know they're a little bit smaller in stature.
Malinois, right? Is that how I pronounce it? Malinois, Belgian Malinois.
I mean, pound per pound, they are
Yeah,
very, very.
they're even more high-strung than Germans.
That dog is ready. I mean, it's really amazing. So much training goes into these canines. I believe it costs somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 to train one of these dogs, and they can turn on the spot of a dime. They can go from being an adorable-looking little friendly dog, and then you give that dog one command, and it is a totally different story. So, we'll just see if the tactic here is to just let the suspect know, hey, you are really risking some serious pain if you don't come out. They might just be kind of using that to try to coax them out without any intent of actually releasing the dog.
Oh, that dog! Look at how high-strung it is.
But,
It's standing now.
Suspect. And again, they at the very least want the canine at the ready. If the suspect decides to get out there and start running,
He's putting all that cardboard out there, hoping that it deters the Doge. That fur missile is a heat-seeking missile. It is based on sight. Remember in Jurassic Park, the T-Rex?
Has made contact with
It can't see us if we don't move.
Police have had any contact with this suspect right
That
now.
angle right there. Hold the angle here.
Or have you heard? What are you hearing as far as that?
We haven't heard if they're on the phone with him currently. I would assume so. You know, they have at the very least they had that phone number on the side. And if that's, you know, if this person is, you know, a sole proprietor and that's their cell phone number that they just have in their pocket, I'm sure they tried that number. If that number didn't work, then they may be able to get a contact from the supposed, you know, victim that changed their story. And if they don't have that, well, we certainly have a shattered window at the very least with words being exchanged. So there's definitely some line of communication open between CHP and this suspect. To what degree, it's not clear, but yeah, it continues. And
You know, $50,000 to $100,000 is pretty standard. That's how much
Yeah, and it seems like
those
that
special
even got
golden
those
retrievers
the
and
bars
stuff that
from
you
the
see
K9,
cost to train.
Because
It takes like full
didn't see
years.
much
Yeah,
movement
that makes
going on
sense.
Until
The trainer's
that
spending an
started,
entire
and
year
then he comes
with it.
out with this cardboard box, seemingly to cover up the window just in case this K9 is released.
Sure, to protect it a little more, should that dog come running through that window. It looks
Ah,
like
Doge moving.
moving it over to another area.
Well, here's the Doge going.
Curious to see
He's with
what's
that
gonna
full
happen here.
armor.
But we do know that they brought the
a
crisis
velociraptor on a
negotiators and the
leash.
canines in not too long ago.
He's a good boy.
Looks like they are being moved away from the scene now.
Are they going to send the Doge through the other window?
Yeah, let's see what they're doing here. If they just kind of want to change their tactic.
What is this Doge doing?
Yeah, they're going quite a ways away over here.
No, what? Where's the
we'll have to
Doge?
see
Where are
what
you taking the
happens now,
Doge?
'cause, right now you see all of these.
Maybe he's
units that
hungry.
have, come to respond to this incident. I mean, we have more than.
Does he-
a
yeah,
dozen
maybe he
cruisers
needs to
out
go
here
poop.
now, at this point.
Do they clean up after the
And
poop?
Walking back over to
How
this
funny would it be if
vehicle.
he
Okay, so I
starts
think this
taking a
was
poop?
Actually maybe this was the vehicle that they arrived in.
That's
so
it?
We'll see what that's with the.
That's it for the
movement
Doge?
they're doing right there. I also wanted to know
Oh.
that they have those dogs on a very, very long leash. A lot of times they'll either sometimes
many
they'll
units?
release the dog, or other times
17?
they'll just they'll keep it on the leash and let it do its thing. But with them being able to, you know, retract the leash if need be if the dog gets into a pretty bad situation. But they might have actually, it looks like, could have been putting the dog back into the car right there. Yeah, this last vehicle right over here farthest to the west.
Why?
So, well, the dog is now taking a break. It looks like in the back. Hopefully he's having a dog treat.
Good day of work. I'm done. I'm done for the day. I did my barking. I'm out of here. Take me home.
Yeah, interesting that I see 2 officers now with their guns drawn and trained at this van right now. And it looks like
$100,000 for that.
Huddle right now, perhaps talking about what they're going to be doing next.
Dog needed a break.
As you can see, this is closing right now, a big portion of the 91 freeway on a Friday evening. As Desmond mentioned, when people have plans and people are coming home from work. And this is just, I mean,
They pump fake the dog like Carmelo.
Diversion of traffic onto Long Beach Boulevard.
They tried to scare him, and all he did was just build his fort out even more. His wall is even bigger now because it has cardboard in there.
A lot of traffic.
He was able to reinforce that thing because of the Doge.
As you can imagine tonight, as the CHP takes this.
Hayes says dog union specifies it cannot bark for more than 60 seconds without a break.
Usually they're pretty aggressive about their tactics, but it looks like they have reason for taking it slow like this and taking all the precautions that need to be
Well,
taken.
we know for future reference, cardboard equals dog repellent.
Traffic there.
Yep.
Boy, oh boy, just sitting there. You can imagine the people who are being turned around right now going, finally something is happening, but
Gotta turn right a little
Wow.
bit for a second.
And you talk about here at
Yeah, let's take
7:36
the
on a
opportunity.
Friday evening. It's already normally congested, but then you add this mess. And Desmond, you know, he talked about this earlier. What if it's your anniversary or you have to go pick up your kid? Certainly inconvenience here on a Friday night as we watch this standoff with this alleged kidnapping suspect.
Oh yeah, that is a nasty backup back there. It looks like CHP at the least has shut down the connectors from the 710 to the West 91 now at this point, so that more people won't just drive into a total traffic disaster. But there still were hundreds of people that were trapped in that.
Pierced Ink says he stuck a no dogs allowed sign outside outside his van fort. No dogs allowed.
Santa Fe that refusing to give up this evening. So you see officers back here huddling, kind of, what are we going to do next?
Yeah, no dog, no SWAT. We're just going to stay here all night, I guess.
Negotiator, our intrepid assignment desk was actually, so Chauncey, you mentioned that the phone number on the side there, Planet Tree Care, whatever it was called.
Planet Tree
We actually
Service.
tried to call that number, Planet Tree Service. We tried to call that number and they didn't pick up. So maybe, not much to get from that other than, is that the suspect just not wanting to talk to anybody, or does that go to an office? It's not clear at this point. But that phone number, we did not get any answer despite trying.
And Desmond, going back to the beginning of all of this, I know when we first got
Ranger,
on
you
scene,
tried
he
calling
was
the number?
stopped and we saw that damage to the car. Did we ever confirm if spike strips were thrown out?
We didn't confirm it, but I'm pretty confident that a spike strip was used because southbound 710 at Alondra, he was at the top of the on-ramp. There was a ton of Long Beach police behind him.
It's getting dark now.
He had one flat tire already, the front driver's side.
Right.
And then there was a unit in front at the bottom of the on-ramp right near the main lines of the freeway up against the sound wall. And when the suspect took off, I saw 2 officers that were right up against the sound wall, and it looked like they made a motion like they yanked back on a spike strip. And you see that now 3 of the 4 tires are out. So I'm pretty confident that they.
For the record, this vehicle is not
there,
disabled.
which would make sense because they didn't want to leave just that open highway with no repercussion for the suspect that they wanted to take off. A lot of times you'll see that where they're going to surround them. Not surround them, but they're going to have units in the back where they can defend themselves. And then they want to have some kind of obstruction at the front, usually, a spike strip or something like that at the front.
It's not a vehicle anymore. It's not a house. It's a sovereign nation. He's got he's going to hoist a flag.
As we see,
You're not allowed in here. It's private property.
totally shredded. Still has that.
You see this cardboard? This is my flag.
That is intact, but there hasn't been And sometimes we see these suspects where they'll have like no tires and they'll try to hit it in reverse, and you'll see the wheels spin and sparks fly and rubber go flying everywhere like they're trying to escape. At least the suspect's not doing that. They're not making any
Right. California has the loosest squatter laws. This is his highway now. Sorry.
That could go
What are you gonna do?
if the suspect tried to do
Litigate
that.
for the next 10 years?
Them to, at the very least, not be.
I'll be right here
Anything like
in
that.
my van.
And noting your, the loose timeline after that happened with the spike strips, I guess, Desmond, that was also the time when police were able to make contact with that alleged kidnapping victim.
Base Jason
who,
says, just say really loud.
made
Okay, guys, he wins. Let's go
recanted the
home.
story, and
And
during
have
that
everyone
time,
drive away, but
this
leave one
gets
guy with the dog behind the
back on
barrier
highway,
to get him
even
when he
with
gets
damage to
out.
the car, right?
That would be a very feasible strategy
Yeah,
at this
and
point.
You know what was? It was kind of scary there for a few moments because they seemed like they were having a lot of trouble controlling this car. They were down, pretty much the most important tire. I'm pretty sure this is a front-wheel drive car, and he did not have the front driver's side tire, and was kind of weaving in and out of the right shoulder. It looked like he almost could have.
They're pulling in.
Let's see here. Okay, so now
They're gonna pit him in.
CHP, maybe they heard me saying that about the suspect trying to potentially escape. They're making sure that is not a possibility.
Yeah, because there's no more Bearcats. Now he can't
even if
back
the
up.
Suspect were to try to throw in reverse.
Now that option's gone.
That is.
Unless he
guaranteed
Austin
to
Powers
lose.
it.
But
he's
they were having
trapped,
trouble
right,
on the
Desmond?
freeway controlling the vehicle.
Yes,
Yeah,
but he's
totally
trapped, right,
now.
because-
I mean, you're
yeah. The left side, he can't get out of.
between the right between the sound wall and the front bumper there of the CHP officer. But there was another scary moment where almost collided with some other vehicles out there on the southbound 710, and that probably plays into why CHP wants this, regardless of what's happening now with that kidnapping allegation. But it was, to answer your question originally, Chauncey, when he took off. And that was because we started asking, the airship, like, are you guys going to come after this guy? And they said, no, the victims changed their story, so we don't have anything on him. So it was, it's just kind of some weird timing there. And so maybe, maybe this suspect thought, okay, I'm out, I'm in the clear. But then the vehicle stopped, they got out, walking around. I know everyone that's on the westbound 91 wishes that CHP could have responded just a little bit sooner and taken that person into custody. Okay, look at this. I think we're going to be getting some movement here.
Oh, riot shields.
There's that ballistic shield.
2 riot shields in formation.
2 officers in the front. And it looks like officers stuck behind them. They're approaching the car now.
They're about 6 deep. Those 2 officers have armor.
They've got themselves pretty protected with a couple of shields. Now they're going to come. Let's see what they do here. They're going to try to yank that blanket out.
Yeah.
They can't get the blanket out because it's in the door. Now they're going to knock out the cardboard.
They might have just put some gas in there.
Oh.
They may have just put some gas.
They drop a smoke bomb in there? What if he throws it back out?
Something that's what that would most likely be, and they're going to see how the suspect responds to that. So again, that CHP, I'm pretty sure that there's 2 types of gas. I was talking about it earlier. Hot and cold gas. This would be cold gas, definitely the lesser of the 2, which is primarily a respiratory irritant as well as your eyes. So it's definitely painful, to your lungs.
Why is the cabin not smoking?
Not so much to
Did
your
he
skin.
eat it?
So I'm pretty sure it sure looked like they inserted something there. But
Yeah, it did. And now we see some more movement
Hey,
from the van.
he's rebuilding it. He's rebuilding the fort.
He's,
and just kind of trying to kind of block off the window again.
we thought he might
They
be
yanked it
pushing
out of the
that
door
stuff
jam.
out, yeah. We thought he might be pushing it out and maybe
yeah.
coming out, but it looks like he's further
Covering it
just
up.
covering the window, yeah.
Is he just sitting on the smoke
I
bomb?
feel like we would see some gas coming out, and we do not. So,
But I did see a gesture,
if that's
though.
what that was. Yeah, I did too.
It seems like something was thrown inside of the van.
Oh my God.
Let me re-roll it. Yeah.
What are we doing?
With their ballistic shields.
Approaching the window right here, and then the officer to the left, you see right there.
He's gonna start pulling on
Pulling
that
it.
sheet.
And then there we go. Right there. Something.
Something is
Yeah.
thrown in there.
Yeah.
What are we
Having
doing?
any effect?
Dude,
so far.
if this was a Texas chase or a Miami
Officers
chase,
still wait for what's happening. We've seen officers
they would
move
have
just in the
demolition
past 10 minutes
derbied
or
this
so
car off the freeway.
after, them standing there with their guns trained behind their patrol cars.
They would have turned the shit into
But,
twisted
they-
metal.
About 15 minutes ago, they brought in a canine and had that canine just chomping at the
Where
bit
is Doge?
to
His
get to
union
his
break
van
is
and
over.
barking, and it looked like
Doge,
the
get back out there.
suspect heard that dog barking, covered the window further, reinforcing
He got his DoorDash. He got his DoorDash. They dropped it off for him.
Cardboard in addition to the blanket that we see hanging out of the window there. And then not too long after that, they took the K9 and put it back into the patrol car that arrived in. So that's when we saw not too long after that the officers huddling, and that's probably what they were huddling about. Let's bring out
They
those
reinforced
ballistic
their vote
shields.
There we go again.
Yeah.
So
Or are they going to try and knock down the fort again? We're having a fort battle.
So now they're trying again, approaching
Yeah.
the window.
If that's what that was,
Yeah.
so if they did, right, we should have seen some gas coming out. So now they're yanking that cardboard out. They are tired of not being able to see inside. So they got the cardboard. They're gonna. He yanks the blanket.
He yanked it back in.
The boy, I mean, they are getting right up here. Now they're looking through the windshield. They've got a bunch of officers. This is an incredibly tense moment.
Open the door.
They have not had any eyes on what is going on in there. But now, here we go.
Here is the wind.
Okay, now they're opening up.
At the side door, they're running into the front.
They are determined to
Surrounding
get this
that
guy
van with all
and
the
just yank him
officers.
out.
But they got the blanket out. Where is he?
And so now completely swarming the vehicle, but still can't get him out. Okay, are they yank? Okay.
Yep.
They
Is that him?
finally got him.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's on the ground.
How many fucking people does it take?
Took a lot of officers though to get him out. So, boy, kudos to CHP. A dangerous situation.
He had that entire place booby trapped with blankets.
It's not often that you see that, especially with a vehicle that you can't see that well into. But,
Fours in the
he
chat.
surrounded him, and they are going to
Somehow, some way,
And this,
we are code
I
4.
mean, we've been covering this since the 6 o'clock,
Yeah,
6 o'clock
6:30, yeah.
hour.
Oh my
And,
God,
an
man.
hour now,
Where's
and
my
it looks like this is
busted?
finally coming to an end. Certainly kudos to those CHP officers who have been out there not only trying to bring this to an end,
Damn it,
but also
Doge.
protecting the public and just
Wow.
making sure their
1
lives
hour,
are safe.
45
We
minutes
don't know a lot
of a standoff.
about the possible
We have a resolution.
in all of this. It could be a true story, perhaps recanted.
The
by
blanket
the
strategy.
victim. So
They had to
she's
yank out.
going and
It was like
approaching
Willy
this law,
Wonka's
obviously
factory in
wanting to
there.
do so as aggressive as a CHP
Just kept pulling
is.
out blankets.
They wanted to go
Why are there so
to
many
all
blankets?
the protection that they could. So you
And they
saw
eventually
them
got him.
Bring in those ballistic shields and approach that car stacked behind each other and get that person out on their.
That is true. Chases breed chases. It is a weird Friday night. It's the end of the month. People are getting paid. They are out getting into trouble with their paychecks, which
Yeah,
means
certainly some dramatic
chases.
moments that we watch unfold here, starting just after 6:30 this evening.
Yeah, great barricade with the blanket and the cardboard, but you forgot to lock the doors. Of all things that he did, he forgot to lock the doors.
Then that's when CHP, they come in, do this pit maneuver, putting the van in the position it is now. We saw that one time they did go in as we thought they were going to approach. They got to the window and then suddenly retreated for whatever.
He created a blanket
And we
for
saw
it.
the K9.
Here's the replay. Watch how many damn blankets come out of here.
We thought that
One
perhaps
blanket,
they retreated
2
because,
blanket.
Desmond was saying that they were.
Did he wrap himself up like a sushi roll?
And the officers saw that happening. So
There he
they
finally
know what's
comes
gonna happen
out.
when they approach this car and they see someone acting in such a way. You know, is he armed? We didn't know at this point. So.
And then that first attempt, as they went in with the shield to try to do something, we thought that we saw one of the officers gesture putting something in the car. And then not even 2 minutes later, we see them go in very aggressively. And then
They almost pulled out all the blankets. Like, where is he? And then he's in the blanket and he gets up and he runs away.
We end this right here, thankfully. And hopefully traffic will.
Like
get
Doctor
back to
Strange with his
moving
cape.
here, so people can go on with their Friday night, Des.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some other agencies might let this have gone on for a very long time. And anytime something turns into a SWAT situation, it almost turns into like a minimum 3 or 4 hour ordeal. And while this still went on for quite some time, I think it went on for maybe 90 minutes total, which is definitely on the shorter side that these types of standoffs can go off. And the CHP, they kudos to them for deciding we're going to handle this with the resources that we have. They didn't have to bring anything far
Doge was not the hero
or anything
tonight.
from another
Unfortunately,
agency.
he tried his best.
They made the determination that they could go up there safe enough with their ballistic shields and just overwhelming man and woman power, and come up and get the suspect
All right,
in
I think
custody. And
it's
on the
time.
ground, you can see this person still
All right,
writhing.
main event is on finally.
I mean, they have
Timberwolves
not
are
gotten
on.
this person up on their feet yet.
Yeah.
It looked like they.
Why is this guy not in the back of a police
do not
vehicle?
want to go. So you wonder what.
There's 9
this person's
cops.
side of the story is, but the more they struggle, the
We're
worse
not done.
they're just making it for themselves. Now it looks like we have the fire department that is here as well, just in case.
For what?
Something happens. Maybe they want to evaluate this person and make sure that they're okay, that they didn't injure themselves, or that they weren't injured while being taken into custody. So hopefully, we can clear all this out of here pretty soon and get this westbound 91 reopened sooner rather than later.
Get him up.
If you're just joining us here, this is
Is he
an
just
early
limp
edition of
fish?
Cal News at 8. A possible kidnapping suspect
Dead weight, refusing to
now
stand
under
up.
arrest. Although we don't have many details about this alleged kidnapping or possible kidnapping, we had heard that there might be a kidnapping.
What? What's going on here? Why?
Early on in this story, when it first transpired and when we first started following a possible pursuit of a kidnapping suspect, it was a very short pursuit, if there was one. We do believe that there were spike strips that were deployed
A gurney?
at some point, and that's why
Come
those
on, man.
tires on that van were slashed. And then, of course, the other technique of a pit maneuver was performed on the 91 freeway there and turned that car right around and into the K-rail that you see it trapping there. As we saw CHP officers, usually, as Desmond was talking about, CHP tends to be the
This is
most
a performance
aggressive
for the
agency,
ages.
especially on the freeway, because they want to get the traffic moving again. And as Desmond was talking about, this has been going on for a good part of 90 minutes now. So as you can imagine, that traffic that has been diverted, and also that had been in a standstill for a very long time.
I think he's finally
tonight,
in the stretcher.
frustrated drivers, but it looks like the CHP is now bringing this to an end. As they go and clear that car after they put this person in the back of a patrol car. They'll go and make sure everything is all clear. But you can see just by the response of the CHP, typically at the end of a pursuit, we see perhaps up to three CHP units, in chase, and then the end of it. But you can see, more than a dozen cars out there tonight, and lots happening.
It looks like that the suspect is being loaded on this gurney right here. Des, can you make out a better picture of this? Is the suspect now on this gurney? It seems like they did get him off the ground.
Yeah, they got him on the gurney, and they're going to have to restrain him. I think just emotions are very, very high right now. I mean, we heard the details about all of this. We don't know the full story, but there were allegations made of kidnapping with a supposed victim, and that those allegations being walked back, and no one knows for sure what all this is going on. And we know the one thing we do know is that this person had zero interest in complying with police, even after they forcefully came and yanked them out of that van. Half a dozen officers on the ground, and then they had him restrained for some time, just trying to get the handcuffs on him. I'm wondering if they have a spit bag on the suspect, something that they will sometimes have to put if the suspect is really, really aggressive and obdurate like this, then they will put a type of bag over their head, which allows them still to breathe, obviously, but protects the officers from them, spitting on them. We have seen that employed. I'm kind of wondering if that's the case with the suspect, but you see now they were on the ground for a while, and now they're on a gurney trying to just get this person into a position where they're restrained, where they can't threaten themselves or others. And then we'll see if they put them in the back of an ambulance, either to just be evaluated or if they're going to have to send them to the hospital.
But as you saw, the CHP showing a lot of restraint and patience.
It did get dark fast in here, didn't it? It's dark out now.
Out of that van.
That's what happens when the sun goes down.
Almost 90 minutes after this short pursuit came to an end of this possible kidnapping suspect.
Dude, this guy's still not up yet.
Leaving the usual way.
It's nuts.
See them in handcuffs and standing up and getting escorted into a patrol car. But this time it looks like they might
He's
be
refusing.
perhaps restrained.
Look at that, how many people.
The emotions and passions that could be running through them right now. And, obviously officers have to take into consideration the safety of that person as well. So as we bring this to an end in Compton. Obviously, a big effect on traffic tonight on a typical Friday night, almost 8 o'clock in the evening. A lot of, I'm sure, remnant traffic from all this happening right now. But the CHP, one of their top priorities, of course, is to get traffic moving once again. So hopefully they can do that as soon as this part of it wraps up.
And we've seen so many moods of this alleged kidnapping suspect. Earlier, we saw him walking on the freeway, seemingly unbothered. And then we saw a more aggressive side with putting the blanket up by the window. And then at one point, putting
This is some serious restraints.
And then Desmond talked about when police first approached the van, how they reported that he might have been acting erratically. Now we see him arrested and then having to be put on this gurney. And we see more of that erratic behavior as police are trying to subdue him.
Sure, and so many questions tonight as to what was happening. One thing that we have known throughout all of this is probably a domestic
Got this guy
situation,
buckled in.
And obviously in domestic situations,
Hannibal Lecter being transported here.
And whatever happened or transpired prior to this tonight, to this event. Obviously,
They got a spit bag on him. They have restraints on his feet. Then they have restraints on his legs. Then they have restraint on his waist. And he's cuffed.
Bringing an hour and a half
My God.
event to an end. Finally, the sun set on the freeway there as we were following this since the 6 o'clock hour. And
That is Hannibal Lecter.
showing incredible patience and restraint to make sure that their officers and the public were safe.
Okay. My friends. That is going to do it for tonight. Chases Pre-Chases will be here in case there is another chase this evening. If you haven't followed the account, go ahead and do that already. Turn on your notifications in the event we have another chase. We have merchandisebirdsintheair.com. If you'd like to support the channel that way, all of you who subscribed tonight, thank you much, especially to DJ Ryerson, Chief of Staff, and everybody else.